Any gas leak would have been reported to me. I've not heard a word. I shake my head. Look over at Mark, whose eyes are already wandering down to his phone. All right, I say, just sign here to say you wouldn't let us in. And I show him a clipboard. I'm signing nothing, pal. Okay, so I'll put down refused entry and take a good look at his name badge. By James, and then we'll know. Just in case of any problems, you know, gas leaks can occasionally cause problems. And I smile. All right, gives his head, he says, gets up a number on his screen, dials it, and I hear it ring. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. And goes to answer phone. Doorman disconnects the call, doesn't leave a message, and I smile. The flat is a sight. Like someone has spent thousands creating this beautiful living space with breathtaking views of the city and the river, and then some other fuckers come along and dump half a dozen wee livings of shite all over it. Take a sniff of the air and take my lead a little bit more than he needs to. So does Mark. No gas here, I say. And the doorman goes, what, you can tell just like that? I say, well, can you smell gas? I nod at a teetering tower of takeaway trays. Apart from this crap rotting down, of course. Right on cue, Mark pipes up. Beneficial sniffer, just to be sure. All right, I say. Waste of time though. And I head off down the hallway. I head to the front door. I open the front door. And then I let it swing shut. I do not cross the threshold. And as the door closes, I slip into a bathroom just beside the lounge, and I try to time it. So just as the front door swings shut, I can close the bathroom door and the noise of one will cover the other, but I don't quite time it right, and I have to leave it open just a crack. In the lounge, I can hear Mark deploying what meagre chat he has. In my head, I count out the trip I'm not taking. I mean, it'd take me so long to walk to the lift, so long for the lift to come, so long to go down 7 stories, so long to walk out the lobby, so long to get to the van, so long to fetch my keys, and then a call would come. An emergency, so I wouldn't mess around. I get off the phone quick, dial up to Mark, I punch in his number, and I hear his phone go, just a few feet away from me. He picks up, and I say nothing. I mean, we had practiced with me actually talking, but then there was always a chance I'd be overheard, so for this bit, Mark has to talk to a silent phone. He shit at it. He rushes, he never leaves enough of a gap for the person he's supposed to be talking to actually say anything, you know, like, oh, yeah, absolutely, no, absolutely, yeah, of course, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, okie fucking dokey. I am coming down the hall, and Mark telling the doorman there's a main burst in the middle of town. We've got to drop whatever we're doing, get over there right now. As they're walking down the hall, there's only the bathroom door between me and them, and that not even properly closed, and all the doorman has to do is turn around and it's all over, and front door opens. 4 beeps as the doorman puts in the code. Door swings shut, and I hear the bolt of the deadlock slide home. Their voices trail off down the corridor. I'm in. Then now all I have to do is sit tight and wait. Wait for the man I'm going to murder.
Dad had fucked up. You don't know though. Had he fucked off or Mum told him to, you don't know. But you know Mum's there. Day in, day out, telling you off, just getting at you. Never fucking happy. But, you know when Dad comes, it is brilliant. Like off down the beach or off for chips. You come home and you're telling Mum and she's just nodding. Not a smile, nothing like. Dad got me ice cream. Dad got me a cowboy hat. Did he? She says. You need a new coat, Davey. Did he get you that? No, he did not, because he never does, and you never learn. Bit after my 8th birthday, Dad rolled up in a red Escort van. It was always a different car every time I saw him, and it was always falling apart. Got something for you, he says. And in the back, in a box, is Maisie. Just, she's not called that yet. She's nice, I say. Mongrel, he goes, but mostly border collie. Right, I say, because it means fuck all to me. You like her, he says. I suppose, I go. He says, that's lucky, because she's yours. And I look at her again. I just reach out my hand, and she don't bite me, just wraps her teeth around my hand. She's mine. Like a living thing, but mine. Mum says we're going to feed her how? Dad says, oh, I'll bring some tins. Mum says, oh, who's going to walk her then? I say, I will. She says, yeah, for the first 2 days maybe, but after that? What if she gets sick? What about vets? I got Maisie in my arms and she's just slobbering all over me. Dad says, all right then, fine. I'll take her back. If that's what you want, I'll take her back. Mum looks at him, at me. Maisie's just settling her face into the curve of my neck. And that second, I realise exactly what the curve of my neck is for. It's for Maisie to settle her face into. I turn to Mum and I look at her and I say, please. Please, Mum. And then she marches off into the kitchen and starts smashing pans about. I turn to Dad and say, thanks. Thanks. Thanks, Dad. I never called him Dad. Hardly ever got the chance, really. But even as little as I was, I could see that saying it did something to him. Like, calling him Dad made him my dad. More than he had been. He said, I'm working up the coast. You know, you can come stay. Bring the dog. She'd love to run along the beaches. Would you like that, Davey? Would you like to come and stay? Smashing pans in the kitchen from Mum stops. The whole house is just holding its breath, waiting to hear what I have to say. And I say, I'd love that, Dad. I'd love to come and stay. Then he reached out his hand and he just put it on top of my head. That was the last time I saw him. It was the last time I saw him for years.
Here's an interesting factoid. Once you come up with a product that earns tens of millions, you will find that you are deeply fascinating to a wide variety of people in a way that you really weren't before. In particular, people are fascinated by how such an apparently unpromising idiots like you came up with a product that earned so much money. They'll ask, when was the magic moment? How exactly did the lightning strike? They want it to be a lightning strike because, well, if it happened to you, then, well, it could happen to them without any actual effort. But it's not a lightning strike. What happens is a slow gathering of information, of things that seem often unrelated and maybe even non-viable, but they stick in your mind, and it's more like a planet coming together out of rocks and dust than a lightning strike, except instead of gravity pulling the rocks and dust together, it's you. With talent and hard bloody work. I mean, there just isn't the eureka moment of legend, there just isn't. Except with Killology, there was. My 23rd birthday. I'm having the family round to my flat. I mean, my first flat, nothing like the Sky Palace I call home these days, but still, a flat at 23, for which I paid cash, by no means too shoddy an achievement. The family tour is heading from the kitchen to the living room, but my dad, he hangs back, looks around, takes a sip out of my by no means cheap wine, winces, swallows it like it's medicine. I say, there's some bitter, if you prefer, Dad. He says, no, I'll take what I'm given. I say, no, it's no trouble, honestly. Pour it down the plug hole if it displeases you. And he says, you know what, son? I say, I do not, Dad. But by all means, enlighten away. And he looks around. Make sure I see he's taken it all in, everything I've done. And he says, you know, you really could have become something if you weren't such a bloody waster. And I say, cheers, Dad. What a sweet thought, and on my birthday, how kind. I bring the family to the living room, demand a group selfie, and then bring the party to a close, implying I have somewhere cooler to go to. Family dismissed, I jump on my bike, head to the office, and wake the machines. At this point, we're just one legitimate chart hit, a beat-em-up like hundreds of other beat-em-ups available on every platform. I Bluetooth the family snap off my phone, lasso my dad's face, put it on the face of the big bad boss right at the end of the game, and I spend my birthday night on my own, virtually beating the shit out of my dad, killing him horribly, and then bringing him back to life to kill him more horribly the next time, playing and replaying his death again and again and again and again. And it's because of that moment that I become everything I am today.
She says, I gotta work the shifts I'm given, Davey, or that's it. Right, tea's done, microwave on full for 1 minute, bed by 9, yes? I was moaning about some Valentine's disco at school I want to take her to. There was some girl I liked. What I'd do if I got to the disco, I had no idea, but still, Mum's having none of it. I'll just go by myself then. She says, you can't, you're 8 and a bloody half. And I say, well, if you're not here, you can't stop me. She's all like, no, Davey, please don't do this to me. And I smile. She's standing by a door, fretting about a bus. You know, a bus that she's just about to miss. You know, she's got to get a move on. But me, grinning, like I'm king of the world. Off you go, Mum. Off you trot, I'll see you later. For once I'm in charge, and she has to bloody listen like that. Face changes. She goes into her purse, says, right, if I can't trust you, I'll have to make sure, and she pulls out a key. We've got 2 locks on our door at home. One up top that locks when you slam it shut, and another one in the middle that we never used. You need a key for it. I say, are you going to lock me in? She says, looks like I've got to. And I say, well, what if there's a fire? And she says, Davey, please, just be a good boy. And she steps out the door, shuts it, locks me in. And it's always like this. I never go anywhere. School trips, stay home because it's an extra £5. Never have mates around for tea because can't afford 2 more sausages. And I just run up to my room and I've had it. Like, this is it now. This is it. At my window, right, the flat below have built a little lean-to around their back door. So I'm thinking, right, I can climb out, crawl across their roof, slide onto their bins and I'm away. So I'm getting all my little treasures together in a plastic spar bag and then pad, pad, pad up the stairs and pad, pad, pad down the corridor. Maisie's nose bumps my bedroom door open. She's just standing there, looking at me. Those big dark eyes. She ain't clambering down no lean-to, I'm ready to go. Plastic bag wrapped around my wrist, I've got both hands free, but this dog is just standing there. And so am I. Not going, just staying. I'm stuck. I'm stuck because of this fucking mongrel. I can't move, I can't do anything, and I'm crying, and I get into bed, shoes, trousers, coat, everything, and I just pull the covers up, try to hide, and I just keep crying. Just crying because I get it. Like, this is it now. This is me. And I wake up and I'm sweating, I'm fully dressed, and Maisie's climbed onto the bed with me. I try to push her off, but she won't go, she keeps me stuck there. So I rip off my clothes and I push them off the side of the bed, and then I roll back onto my side and just bring my knees up to my chest, try to make myself as small as possible. And then Maisie curls into a circle and huddles into the crook of my knee. Her weight just on the cover. And if I try to move, she half whines, half growls, so I'm stuck there. Neck and shoulders going numb. But halfway through the night it changes. I stop feeling stuck by the weight of her, I feel held. Then in the dark of the night I get out to go for a wee, and Maisie lets me go because she knows I'm coming back. And I pad down the corridor, Mum's there. In her room. The door's open just a crack and I stop and I look. The shape of her under the duvet's the same as me. She's lying on her side, knees tucked up to her chest, but no one cuddled up to her. It's almost funny, she's this tiny thing, but makes such a misery of my life. In her room, the wardrobe cramped up against the bed, little TV she got for a £5, but £5 wasted because it never worked. Couldn't bear to take it back though, because £5, for fuck's sake. Little chest of drawers, a mug, can of hairspray, and the red strip from the plastic wrap of a fag packet. And that tune she left playing on the radio all night. You could pick her up one hand and chuck her away. I stop and I look, I'm taking it all in, and I'm 8.5 now, maybe 9, and I'm thinking, look at your mum. All on your own. No wonder. No wonder, you bitch. And then I head back to my room, where I got Maisie to cuddle me. And because I fixed it all in my mind, I can still see it, the view through the cracked open door. I just close my eyes and I can open them and I'm there again.
Sitting there, my dad in dozens of grisly ways, I realised something. The core principle of all artistic production is don't bore us, get to the chorus. And yet our one legitimate chart hit just did not get to the chorus, sometimes not even for minutes. We made our players sit there and twiddle their thumbs for all this tedious kicking and punching when all they wanted to do was cut throats and slit necks and see all the blood pour out. And it was in that lightning strikey exception that proves the rule in moments that I conceived Killology. A game that's not about the fight, but the kill. I got the idea from my dad. A birthday present. Thank you, Daddy. Love, your son.
By the time I'm 12, I'm not getting kept in anymore. Getting sent out. Go on, out you go. Go out and play, run about a bit, wear yourself out. You've been wearing me out all morning. So out you go. And who's out there with you? Other kids. Bigger kids. You know, when you're 12, a 15-year-old might as well have superpowers. You know, you can strain all your 12-year-old muscles as much as you like, but a 15-year-old, he can pin both your hands down with one of his to leave the other hand free to just fuck with you however he likes. And while 15-year-olds, they may have super strength, what they don't have is any trace of a conscience. So your mum, right, sends you out, go out and play, get a bit of fresh air. But actually, she's just turning you out onto a bunch of streets that are basically ruled by gangs of superpowered psychopaths. The biggest psychopath on our streets was a kid called Eddie Randall. He wasn't big in size, he was a tiny fucker, but what he lacked in stature, he made up for in sadism. You know, he'd hurt, humiliate, torment, and if you fought back, he'd say, I'm going to tell my brothers you've been picking on me. And those words just sealed your doom. I remember this one time Eddie decided he was going to win the school sprint at sports day. Yeah, even him, almost a fucking midget. And most of us, you know, we just did the decent thing. Let the fucker win. But there was this one kid, Joseph, and the teachers had been going on to him about how he's a bit of an athlete. You know, they'd be running for the county one day, and you know, it was just teachers encouraging students, like, good on them. But the problem was that they encouraged Joseph so much that he began to think that just because he ran the fastest, that meant he should win the race at sports day, going explicitly against Eddie's instructions. So Joseph ran as fast as he could, covered 100 metres in a handful of seconds, and likewise Eddie ran as fast as his short ass could carry him, and I don't know, he crossed the finish line a minute or two later. The rest of the class we just sort of jogged on the spot to make sure we didn't overtake Eddie, and then just sort of wandered down when he was safely home. Eddie was furious. He was furious. You know, when the teachers went up to him and gave him his silver medal, told him he'd done really, really well considering, just made him madder. Next night, a couple of Randalls found Joseph in the park. They hit his right leg with an iron bar over and over and over again, till it broke in 3 places. They said if he told anyone, they'd do his left leg too. He was an 11-year-old boy. Never ran again. Never told anyone either. Mum, Dad, teachers, no one. But Eddie told, though. He made sure we all knew. And one afternoon I was walking home through the shitty park, and I'd already committed myself to a path. And then I noticed out the corner of my eye that Eddie and his mates are setting fire to a bunch of bins, and so I just tucked my head down and put my headphones in, and I try to just get past them as quickly as I can, but then Eddie darts across and intercepts. "What?" he says. You know, weird things happen when you're shit scared. Like, the muscle at the base of your arse, it goes tight, but the muscle at the root of your cock, it goes really loose, and you have to clench quite hard not to piss yourself. And I just have to take a deep breath in as I pull my headphones out and say, "What?" Back to him. "You think you're funny?" I say something, you say about you taking the piss. "No, I say no." He says, "Well, what's your problem then?" I say, "I haven't got a problem." He says, "Well, what are you looking for?" I say, "Nothing." And he says, "Yes, you are. You fucking are. I can see it. You're saying I'm a cunt." And he's got me. Because I do think he's a cunt. So I hit him hard as I can. He just plonks down onto the path in front of me. And he lifts up his hands to his face. Bloody snot just drips through his fingers. He's looking at me and he can't believe it. Eddie's pals are just pissing themselves because everyone likes to see a nasty shit get taken down a peg, especially poor cunts that have to be his friends. And I stand over him. I spit down. I say, "You get your friends onto me. You get your brothers onto me. This is what happens. Every time I see you for the rest of our lives, you see me, you get hurt. I'm always going to be bigger than you. I'm always going to be able to hurt you, and I will never, never stop." And I just turned, walked away, put my headphones in and turned my music up. Expecting him to come after me, expecting a stone, whatever, something to just hit me in the back. Expecting anything to happen other than what actually happened, which is that I make it out of the park, untouched, unharmed, not a word said my way. That night I don't sleep till 4. Mum wakes me for school at 7 and I am fucked. But Eddie's not in class the next day. Nor the day after that. Nor the day after that. Then it's the weekend, Monday, Eddie's in school. Doesn't say anything. He don't even look my way. Tuesday, same. I'm beginning to let myself think I got away with this, and then Tuesday night. Knock, knock at the door. Mum goes, I hear some chat. Creak, creak up the stairs. Mum pushes my bedroom door open. "Your friends have come for you," she says. I don't move. She says, "Out you go. Go on, go out and play." I say, "I don't feel well." She says, "What?" I say, "Headache," because it could be. And then she says, "Well, if you had a headache, you'd hardly be staring at that screen." And I say, "Yeah, I would. I'm stupid. I do shit like that. You know me." And then she says, has Maisie had her walk tonight?" And I know she knows the answer, so I don't bother to say anything. I don't say, "Mum, don't send me out there, because those bastards are going to kill me." Because you can't tell your mum that the streets are full of psychos and it's just pure fluke you make it home alive every night. Because if you did, then she'd have to do something. And what?
Given me plenty long before that. I remember when I was tiny, him always saying to me, "You can do anything, Paulie. You can do anything you want." Once I was 6, and we were on a family trip to the mountains. And he woke me up after my bedtime, and we snuck out the cottage when everyone else was asleep with flasks and torches to see if we can see some owls or foxes or badgers or whatever. We got to the top of a ridge, and he said, "What's the sky like, Paulie?" And I said, "It's big." And he said, "Well, yes, but what do they tell you at school that the sky's like at night?" And I said, "It's the air." And he said, "Oh, yes, that's right, it's the air, but what else do they tell you at school that the sky is like at night?" And at this point I was getting worried, because this would usually be the point where he'd kick off, and I kept getting it wrong, and because of the worry I couldn't think, so I just said, "I don't know, Dad, I don't know, I'm so sorry." And he flicked off his torch. The night swooped in on us. Dad said, "What they tell you at school is that the night sky is black. But are they right?" I looked up. There was no moon, no nothing, and I said, "Yes, Dad, really, really black." And he said, "But is it though? You keep looking." And I kept peering into that black sky. And then, right before my eyes, the stars came out. A bright few at first, but as I kept looking, more and more everywhere, and a thick band across the centre of the sky was crusted with points of diamond. Dad said, "How many stars are there, Paulie?" And I said, "I don't know, Dad. More than I can count." He said, "They tell you at school that the night sky is black, but are they right?" I shook my head no. He said, "No. They tell you it's dark, but in fact it's more light than dark. And do you want to hear something even more amazing? There is no dark. It's all light. The parts of the sky where it's dark, well, that's just because the stars are so far away, the light hasn't had time to find us yet, but it will. And one day the night sky will be light wherever you look." Now, I didn't really know what that meant, but that's fucking amazing. And I said, "Daddy, can we go to the stars?" And he said, "No one has yet, little man, but maybe you will, because you can do anything. Always believe that." And he gave me a hug, and I remember his hand around mine as he led me down the path. And if I tripped, I'd stumble but never fall, because if I did trip over a branch or whatever, he'd just pick me up, float me back down. And it stayed with me. So whenever I got bored of the incredibly expensive school my dad sent me to, I'd just walk out, go to a friend's house, play Sonic the Hedgehog, and teachers would say, "What's going to happen to you? What do you think you're going to do if you don't get an education?" And I just smile. Because I knew I could do anything.
There were a crowd of them. Eddie standing outside our door, smiling. Makes him look near human. And for a second, I take comfort in it. Bullies need standing up to, and he's never been stood up to before. I've stood up to him, and now he's gone and taken a long hard look at himself, and he wants to change his ways. And cool, am I going to show him how to be less of a cunt? I know that's bollocks, but I take comfort in it. For a second, and then that comfort is ripped away by the absolute flash of evil in his eyes as I step out of our house and onto the street. Of course, the rest of the Randalls are lurking the far side of the road. Maisie's already bounding away towards the shitty park, nearly pulling the lead from my hand. And "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Davies' mum," says Eddie, and then I give in. I let Maisie drag me down one step, then another, and then it's as if I'm walking by my own free will. Eddie at my side and the other Randalls, they fall in behind us. I turn, I look back to Mum. She's just sort of half hanging out the door, and she's got this look on her face. I don't know, like she's a few steps short of some new idea, but it's just slowly getting away from her. And I'm saying, come on out here in your slipper feet and grab me. it's not too late, you can still save me. And then, not too late now, she calls down the street. And with that, she disappears back inside. Down the park, 2 more Randalls wait. One of them was some fucking ugly pit bull. The oldest Randall, who no one really calls by his name, they just call him the worst. He's standing there, holding a long, heavy, rust-red, blood-red iron bar. And I want to say, lads, I can't do this, I can't handle this, I can't, lads, please. And so I do. I say those things, and the Randalls laugh. And the oldest, he says, we know. And that's what makes this so much fun. So then I cry. I start crying, and the Randalls, they say, yeah, go on, get it all out, we'll just wait. And then that makes me cry all the more, and then Maisie starts to weave the lead between my legs because she thinks there's something wrong with me, and then she starts whining, so I reach down my hand, and it finds its place on the back of her neck, and I stop sobbing. For a second. For a second, my voice steadies as I say, it's alright, girl. Everything's fine. It's alright. And you know, for a second I am myself okay, because I need to be to comfort her. And then the oldest Randall, he sees this happen. And the smile that then takes over his face is... it's a nightmare that I never wake from. He says, it's alright. There's no need to worry yourself. I'm not going to touch you. We'll sort this. Sort us all out. Your dog against my dog. And that's why they call him the worst, you know. He thinks of the worst thing you could possibly do to someone, and then he does it. Well, he says. And I look down into Maisie's black eyes and I say, all right.
So with Killology, it's all about the kill. Say you're executing a victim, you shoot him in the heart, quick and clean, get to your point. But you shoot him in the guts, so he dies slowly. Now for that, you get 100 points. Or you put a plastic bag over his head and then take a hammer to his fingers and toes and turn him into a bloody pulp one by one until he suffocates. And for that, you get 1,000 points. Plus it unlocks a swanky new move like your end of the level victory dance. People ask me, how do you come up with these sick, new, hilarious ways of bumping off bad guys? And of course, it's not us, it's the community. We've released modding tools and editors with our release of Killology 2, and these days, most of the game's content comes from the players themselves. It was actually a player who came up with what most people see as the signature of Killology. The Golden Shower minigame. Now, for those of you who don't know it, you set up any standard slow kill. Say you're feeding your victim feet first into a mincing machine. To start the game, you hold your controller at dick level. On screen will appear a stream of piss, yours, which you must then direct into your victim's face. Now, obviously, your victim is squirming from the unbelievable agony, but they'll squirm even more to dodge your piss. And the aim of the game is to get your piss hitting their face as they die for maximum points in their mouth and eyes. Brilliant. Gruesome and bursting with the over-the-top black humour that our players love. Some kid in Mumbai made it. And now she gets 0.25% of nets from every new Killology release. Sends her brothers and sisters to school with it.
In the end, Maisie stops fighting back. She's just lying there whimpering as this bulldog rips chunks out of her left hind leg. The oldest Randall, he says to me, I think that's done it, don't you? I say, yeah. And he walks over to his pit bull and cracks it on the back of the neck with the iron bar, and it lets Maisie go. And I reach out my hand to her, and her head comes up to meet it, and one of her eyes is gone, but the other one, it opens, and she's looking at me, and in the dark of that eye, it's a tiny spark as my hand finds its place on the back of her neck. The oldest Randall says the kindest thing now would be to kill the bitch. I say I can't. And he says, I will if you ask. Say, please kill my useless bitch of a dog. I say, please, will you? And he says, say it like I told you. So I say, please, will you kill my useless bitch of a dog? And he flicks out his knife blade, walks over to her, grabs her by the scruff of the neck harder than he needs to, and then he slices the skin open and just digs the point into her spine. She stops crying. When I go home and tell Mum that a stray came out of the woods and killed my dog, she calls the police. The police come, they ask what happened, and I say a stray came out of the woods and killed my dog. And then they write that down and then they go away. And Mum says, are you sure? Are you sure that's what happened, Davey? And I don't say anything. Everyone knows. And the next day at school, I got Mr. Jones, Mr. Black, and then break. In break, Eddie Randall, he comes up to me. You gonna hit me then, Davey? You said, I'd get my brothers onto you. You'd hurt me every time you laid eyes on me. Well, here I am, Davey. What have you fucking got for me? And then I got Mrs. Stroud. And Mrs. Stroud, at the end of Mrs. Stroud, says, is everything all right, Davey? I say, yeah, everything's fine. She says, could you stay behind at the end, please? I'd like to have a word. And then she says, I heard what happened last night. That must have been very upsetting. So then I pick up a chair and I fucking smash it in her face! Because Mrs. Stroud had a heart of gold. And I wasn't scared of her at all!
Ask my dad how he made his money, he'll say, industry. You know, that thing we used to have back in the 70s, you remember? Truth is, he worked in an office of an oil refinery. If he ever wore a blue collar, it was a fashion choice. Now, at the refinery, they had these reactors, you know, where all the refining happened. And every now and then they need a clean, and you had to get in them, with all the chemicals and fumes and shit. I mean, none of the regular workers would do it because it was incredibly dangerous. So they hired one in those days, they called a retard, and now we have nicer words for specifically to do that job. They'd send the dumb fucker with a mop and a bucket and send him where less challenged men sensibly feared to tread. What a lovely thing industry was. What a pity we don't have it anymore, eh? Sweet, harmless, affectionate sod climbs out of the reactor with his lungs dripping out of his nose. It's fine, it's happened before, we'll just find ourselves another retard for the next spring clean. But this year, my dad has been made union rep, and he persuades the poor sod's parents that they should sue the company. Call ahead, tell him that this is a bad idea, that he'll end up on his arse if he stirs up trouble, but my dad goes on stirring away, because it's the right thing to do. So they sue, and they win thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. Next month, my dad is laid off, entirely unrelated to his union rep activities, you understand, just that his job became irrelevant due to corporate restructuring. But my dad uses his redundancy to set up a company of his own, cleaning out reactors, not by sending in blokes with mops and buckets, the cheap and cheerful way, but with breathing apparatus and hazard suits. Very safe and very, very expensive. But not as expensive as getting the arse suit off you for doing things the cheap and cheerful way, which is what all companies now fear will happen thanks to my dad. And Dad's clean-up business cleans up. He becomes a millionaire servicing a market that he himself has created. And I've asked him, Dad, when did you have the idea to set up as an industrial cleaning lady? Was it after you selflessly helped the guy sue the company that fucked him? Or was it before that? And my dad just smiles and he says, Son, I became rich, making the world a better place, and the working day a little safer for the working man. And that's all that matters.
I've come awake. I'm lying on a bathroom floor. And then I remember, just down the corridor outside the front door, there's whistling. The door opens. The alarm goes and there's 4 beeps as he puts in the alarm code. Then there's tread in the hall and I hear a feel the creak of floorboards underneath shampooed carpet. But then he's past the bathroom and he's into the kitchen, and then I hear water going into a kettle, so I get up. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. And I think of my boy. I push open the door and I march right through. Alright.
What the fuck?
I'm just from the gas.
Well, how do you get in?
Well, there was a gas leak. You phoned.
I did not phone anybody.
We didn't find anything, so that might
What are
explain
you doing
it.
with a spanner?
Let me show you. And I'd expected the first hit would knock him like straight out, but he just doesn't. He stands there and he wobbles and says,
I don't think you're from the gas at all.
dead face.
I come awake and I'm tied up. I'm tied up and he's sat hunched over a laptop typing, 2 index fingers not touched, and given a sideways look and a frown of concentration. I realise.
And I catch an intake of breath. A whispered, oh fuck. So I turn to look at him.
I know where I know him from, and I know just how much trouble I'm in.
The next few years I head exactly down the path you'd imagine if you see me at 12 smashing a chair into the face of the sweetest teacher in school. So at 15, I'm on a dual carriageway, riding some stupid 7-year-old's bike. You're not really allowed to bike on a dual carriageway, but then again, you're not really allowed to nick a bike off a 7-year-old, so what the fuck. Anyway, I'm going along, and then behind me, I hear engine noise. I turn, I look. It's one of them big mummy daddy people carriers, like bouncing along, switching into the outside lane when they see me. I don't know, they gotta be in some big mummy daddy hurry. So I wait until they're a few yards behind me, and I swing out in front of them, and I screech at brakes. And then sitting in front of them, I decide to see just how slowly I can go, but still keep my balance. So I'm like, how slow can I go? How slow can I go? The answer turns out to be very, very, very slow indeed. The mummy daddy people carrier then switches into the inside lane to try and get past. No chance, I swerve too, and wobble along. Their headlights just casting my shadow massive across the tarmac. And then I hear from the mummy daddy people carrier the tiniest hint of the revving of an engine. Cheeky cunts. So I decide to weave from one side of the lane to the other so that it takes me even longer to make any more forward progress, but I'm still completely stopping the mummy daddy people carrier from getting past. Then the mummy daddy people carrier proceeds to toot his shitty little horn. And I happen to find this pretty fucking unnecessary, so I stop, I get off the bike, I turn around and I look straight into their headlights. The headlights snap off. And in that sudden dark, I realised that this people carrier is under new management. I don't know them, and I don't need to because they're obvious cunts. Only a couple years older than me, but out of my league. The one in the passenger side, he's sprawled back, bottle in hand, feet up on a dashboard. The one in the driver's seat, he's got a fag hanging out of his mouth and a big fucking grin all over his face. You know, I'm a nasty little shit by now, but these two have got me outclassed. So I pick up the bike, push off the ground, and I pedal hard. Right, and I manage to make a few yards on them as they're cranking into gear, but then they rev right up to my back wheel, and all I'm thinking is, quarter mile, there's a slip road with a street and parked cars, and I can weave between them and get away, and then their bumper just glances at my back wheel. The bike, it gets wrenched out from underneath me, and I'm surely gonna die. But that second, I develop superhuman power, and I fly up and away. And then I crash. Very quickly. And very hard. My face is in a pothole. My mouth is full of gravel from where the surface of the asphalt has come loose thanks to poor council maintenance, and I spit the gravel out. Some of it's my teeth that have come loose due to this recent high-speed face road impact, and I look up. The mummy daddy carrier's crouched over what's left of the stupid 7-year-old's bike. The back wheel's gone and the little plastic diamonds laced into the spokes are just sparkling in the street lights, and it's really, really pretty. Then the mummy daddy carrier creeps forward and the stupid 7-year-old bike disappears under the dark of a bonnet with a crack and a shriek, and the mummy daddy people carrier growls through the gears and races right at me, and I have to get up, but I go to get up and then I fall straight back down. My nervous system, it reboots and it says it's got 10,000 new messages from my right foot and they're all variations on fuck me, that hurts so fucking much. And then I go to lift my leg off the tarmac, the thigh comes up fine, Neo gave, and then halfway down the carpet it sags and my heel clocks against the ground, and I work some more severe magic and I transmute that pain into vomit, which I spray out onto the tarmac. I want to go up and cry, but I can't, because the mummy daddy carrier is coming to eat me up. I have to pull to the curb, I have to drag my snapped off foot behind me. I'm thinking, how the fuck is this fair? World says it's not, but if you want to live, that's a choice you got. So I jump off my good foot, twist, roll in the air, land on my back foot. The mummy daddy carrier screams at me, and I scream back! Then nothing. Just the sound of the car idling. The doors opening and feet on a tarmac. I open my eyes and the obvious cunts are standing over me, smiling. And everything I've learned about the world up until now says that the worst of my night is still to come. They drag me across the road and they put me in the car, and my head comes to rest in some kiddie seat with padding and straps and pictures of cartoon puppy dogs, and then they take me to some flat. They play with me a while, but the way they play with me makes the minutes feel like lifetimes. There's hours of them that I've got to get through, and then lifetimes later they get bored and they say, "Are you ready now, Davey? Are you ready to die?" And I say,
I came late to the funeral, slid into the last row. The vicar had a black eye from falling off a stepladder, and I thought to myself, this is just another fucking Monday to you. I never meant to go on afterwards, I just did for want of all better to do. Saw his mum at the bar. She was staring down to a drink, so I stared at her until she looked up, slid off the stool, pushed through a crowd and threw her arms around me. And then when it thinned out, like, she didn't want to go back to hers, and I definitely didn't want to start the trek back to mine. I stayed at the bar. I kept on drinking. Got a room. They gave us a discount. And we fell onto the bed, and I almost couldn't, but then I could. The two of us, pissed, knowing we shouldn't, doing it anyway. And Davey, this became something that happened to us. You know, a time in our lives, and that's wrong. I saw Carol a few more times after that. And it was always the same. It was always drinking, always slipping into bed. And I'd wake up and there she'd be, on the side, tucked into me, my arm around her head, one weight of her against me, and her arm pulling me in towards her breasts. And once I half opened my eyes, and her hair was red like it used to be, and she smelled of smoke like she used to do. But the room was the room we made him in. And then, there, there he is. There he is, gurgling in his cot next door. The gurgle he makes when he first wakes up. The gurgle will work its way into a whimper, into a sob. And I have to go to him, but I know if I move then I'll snap back to where we are now, so I lie there, eyes closed, hardly breathing, her next to me and him feet away, so near. And the whimper does become a sob, does become a howl, and he starts screaming out his terror, and Daddy's arms will make it go, but if I move I'll break him. And I hear Carol stir. And I hear her say, "Mummy's coming, baby." But if she moves then. And so I clamp my arm around her, tight round her throat, just to keep her there, just to keep him with us a moment longer. And then she fights me up and she goes for the door and she says, "What the fuck?" And she stops. Because where was she going? Who was she going to? And I say to her, You heard him, didn't you? You heard him too. And I don't believe in anything, but that happened. And you never get to do that, alright? You never get to go back. But we did, and I don't know what that means. It means this world isn't all we think it is.
The view through the cracked open door into Mum's room. I can still see it. She's just there, she's this tiny thing. I push the door open wide, I go in and cuddle up to her and I say, I'm so sorry, Mum.
And some kind people knock on Carol's door one evening. They have time for it. And they listen. And then when they're done listening, they come back the next evening as well. And Carol starts going to their meetings. And now Carol's got Jesus, and Jesus keeps her strong. She stops sleeping with me and drinking with me. And look, I'm not one to knock someone else's beliefs, but... I mean, what did I find, eh? I found...
I begin to wake up with Maisie curled at my feet.
Oh, God.
But even half awake, I know that can't be right.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because Maisie's gone. And I can't go back to when she was still with me. You never get to do that. So I know this must be a dream. So I try to cling to it. I try not to wake all the way up, but just to spark enough of my brain into life to feel her warm weight. The sigh of her breath. In my head, I know I mustn't reach down to touch her, because if I do, then she'll be gone. But my hand doesn't know that, so... I reach down anyway, and my hand finds its place on the back of her neck. But it turns out I can't. I can't move, my arms are trapped. And the weight, it's not weight, it's pressure, it's blankets and sheets pulled tight. I look down and there's some sort of tent over my bad foot and plastic piping going into my arm and just some machines at my side beeping, my heart rate, my breathing. Then a really cute girl comes up to me, a nurse all dressed in blue. She says, back in the land of the living, are you feeling any pain? And I say, no. Not at all, I feel great. She says, I'll be the morphine then. There's more of it in your veins than blood right now. She says, you're a very lucky boy. Thank God the police drove by when they did. If those little shits had got you in their car, Christ knows the state you'd be in.
Dad's 60th, I take the whole family to Egypt. You know, resort to ourselves, trips out to the desert, see the pyramids. And I know that he's always wanted to go, and he's always had the money, just never knew how to turn it into anything worthwhile. At first he doesn't want to come, says, ah yes, the big man whisking us all away, but Mum puts her foot down, for once. Out on the sand we see these rocks piled on top of one another, and Dad says, imagine that. Commanding these things to be built, and they're built, and they stand there thousands of years after you're gone. Then he smiles at me and says, tell me, what was that new game you're working on? And I say, it's not a new game, it's a campaign module for a massively multiplayer online RPG. And he says, ah yes, there we are then, there we are. And he turns away from this wonder that I put before him, and I explode, and after I've been screaming at him for a good 5 minutes, he slaps me on the face. A slap, not a punch, open palm, and he says, you're so puffed up with yourself, all your success. You were a success the day you were born to a rich man. That was handed to you, and you wasted it. On the drive back home, the Jeep turns over. I break my wrist, but I'm fine. Dad's not fine. We pull him out of the wreckage and he screams. He has 7 different fractures in his neck, ribs, hip and legs. And the local hospital, I mean, they don't know what to do. You know, they have the stuff to give him pain relief, but they don't have the stuff needed to operate. But someone's going to have to operate on him soon or he'll die. And I ask the main consultant where we can get them to, where they'll have the right stuff, and he says, home. But they can't put him on a plane either, because that'll kill him. Something to do with a change in air pressure. His lungs are too buggered, they can't take it. So we just have to sit there, in this ward, with my dad under sedation, and my mum sobbing. I call the office, tell them I'm not going to be used to anyone for a little while. And we just have to sit there, and wait for Dad to die. But then after 20 minutes, the office called back. People had been talking to people, and it turns out there is a way to get Dad home. The plane would have to fly much lower and burn way more fuel. I mean, no commercial flight would do that. We'd have to get our own jet, and our own jet would cost a huge amount of money, but I have a huge amount of money. I charge for a jet, recruit a medical team, calls are made, permissions are obtained, and we fly my dad home. He's weeks in hospital, and the recovery is agony, and he's a terrible patient, but eventually, he gets better. Journalists want to talk to him for weeks. Eventually he gives in. And they say, without your son, you'd have died in the desert. He says, without my son, I wouldn't have been in the desert. The journalists laugh. My dad doesn't. After a while he asks me how much it costs to get him home. I mention a figure. He says, that's an obscene sum. I say, well, they told me there was no way in the world to save you. That sum was how much it cost to make one. He says, that's an obscene sum to waste on one man. And I say, well, what was I supposed to do? I'll just leave you there? And he says, back in the day, we had this thing called solidarity, but I bet you can't tell me what it means. And I say, I can try, but I bet I'll get it wrong. And he says, it meant we used to stand together and hold each other's hands against the dark. And when you waste that obscene sum saving me, you take the fucking piss, son. You'll take the piss out of those who've lost their loved ones for want of money. You take the piss out of their grief. And I say, don't mention it, Dad. Anytime.
I found a community. Communities really, online, complete strangers reaching out with the darkest moments of their lives and finding complete strangers reaching out back to them. I mean, there are forums for people who have lost anyone, parents, partners, children, and then within those sub-forums for people who've lost their children to illness, or their children to suicide, or their children to murder. And there, mostly threads of family destruction, but one or two murders in which the perpetrators have been playing certain kinds of video games and watching certain kinds of films and devouring extreme content in the murky parts of the internet. And the wounded families wonder, did all this stuff have an effect? Then, deep in archive posts, hundreds of posts deep, a bereaved dad writes a long series of posts about the American Civil War. Of all things. But he writes about the rifles they used. The old-timey ones where you had to pour the powder down the barrel and the shot on top of that. But when they dug up the battlefields, they found loads of these rifles. His name is Mark. What's your plan?
Oh, and every now and then, some well-fed public official from some pussy country like Canada or New Zealand says that she is going to ban our little game. And I say, go right ahead. Because, well, a ban from a soon-to-be bankrupt government is the kind of publicity it takes millions of pounds for us to buy. By the way, those kids you're trying to protect from our silly little game, they'll just download it illegally without paying us and without contributing tax to your crumbling infrastructure. Excellent work, government lady.
Are you back with us? You fainted. Keep doing that.
Please let me go.
I will, of course.
You will?
Of course. We just need to talk.
If it's money,
It's not.
I just wanted to make some kind of offer but didn't want to appear
Do
insulting.
you know who I am? Who am I? That's right. I'm that kid's dad. You can't remember his name though, can you?
I would, of course. Normally, I would. I'm just panicking a bit, to be honest.
Well, I didn't want to do this. We did email.
I get a lot of email.
Oh, of course you do.
So I'm sorry if I didn't read yours.
You did.
I did?
You said you did when you replied.
Right, yeah.
You said you were terribly, terribly sorry for what had happened to my boy. but that you had examined the facts, looked into your heart, and you could honestly say you didn't feel that you were in any way responsible.
Okay.
And you're right. And of course you are. It's a cunt who did the thing,
And I understand that the police caught them.
They did.
Well, thank God for that at least.
The thing is, it was them. It was you as well. Which is why I'm here.
To get revenge.
To get you to stop.
To stop? What? To stop making games?
Stop making nasty games.
I should just make nice games?
Could you do that?
I mean, well, Super Mario Brothers, there's nothing nasty about that at all. Sonic the Hedgehog sells tens of thousands. I mean,
Well, so you could.
But other people will make nasty games.
Let's just keep this between you and me for
Okay.
now. Okay?
I'll stop making nasty games.
You will.
Yep, alright.
Thing is, you would say that now, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think with you all tied up and helpless, you'd say whatever you think I want to hear. So how do I believe a fucking word that comes out of your mouth?
Well, this is the situation we're in, and without wanting to speak too much of a prick about it, we're in the situation mainly thanks to you.
I suppose that's true.
You could untie me, and you could get out of the building, and out the house, and away, and then tomorrow morning I'll have a proper look at your email and have a real think about it.
Nah, don't think I'm going to do that.
I didn't think you would.
We emailed you before. Loads of facts and documents, and that didn't make a blind bit of difference. But now, you expect me to believe that you've changed your mind?
I suppose it's not so much what you're saying, it's just more the way you're saying it.
Right.
Having broken into my house and attacked me and tied me up, it's giving your words a new weight.
Yeah.
Seeing you and seeing what this has done to you makes me think that, well, what I did probably had nothing to do with what happened to your kid, but I mean, I just don't want to take any risk of being in any way responsible for that. That's what's changed. You, seeing you, looking you in the eye, man to man. This has been a life-changing experience for me, I swear. Okay, no, for years we did the wrong thing. We used shock and violence and gore because it's easy. Because it's really easy to do that and be extreme and be really fucking good. And that was lazy and stupid and wrong, and we're not doing it again from now on. We do the right thing. We make really good games because, Jesus Christ, I don't have anything to do with whoever the fuck has done this to you.
Alright.
You believe me?
I believe you mean it.
I swear I fucking do.
I believe you mean it right now. But here's the thing. Don't know if you're going to recognise these implements.
No. No, listen.
These are tools that players collect. Your game with the master.
Listen. Oh, when I got in, I knew there was a break-in. I knew. I typed the code of my alarm. It's called a duress code. It tells the police that I'm tied here, that I'm locked here, and they'll be here with any second.
I didn't break in. I was in.
This is your whole life locked up. Think about what you're doing.
I know.
You know.
Do you think I'm stupid?
No.
Do you think I'm mad?
Fucking obviously, yes.
Fair comment. You know when they tried the kids who abducted my boy, it was quick. Well, it wasn't quick, but it wasn't months. There was never really any doubt because they'd videoed themselves doing it. And you can see their faces. And you can see whose idea it is to do what. And you can see whose idea it is to play out the scene from the game. And they didn't have everything they needed. They had to improvise a bread knife and a saw, lighter for a blowtorch. But they can see in Davey's eyes that he knows the game as well. And he knows what's coming. And when it came to showing the video and caught her out, I couldn't go in. And I told myself I just didn't want to make whatever happened feel more real by actually seeing it, and that's bollocks, but I did feel it. Really, it was the kids. You know, the kids, they were laughing to their mates in the gallery. And if one of them looked at me, I'd look away, because on the first day, one of them met my eye. And if I'd seen one of them kids laughing at the video, my boy screaming, it would be the end of me. And I don't mean I would have gone mad and murdered them all there and then with my bare hands. I mean something else, all right? But then I start to think, if my boy lived through that, don't I have to watch it? Like, if I don't watch it, am I just leaving him to go through it alone? And that's obviously bullshit, but it's that a shake off. What you and me are going to do is we are going to watch what happened to my boy together. And then I'm going to use that as a guide for what I'm going to do to you. Just take a sec for the disc to load. You'll see soon enough.
You're gonna do that, are you?
Alright then.
You're gonna do that to me?
Okay.
Oh no, oh no, 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 no! Oh my god! Oh my god! Shit! 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 Oh my fucking help me, please!
After a few weeks in hospital, a woman called Jill comes to torture me into walking. I say I can't. It hurts. Why? Are you some kind of sadist? She says, yeah, that's exactly right. It was either this or serial killing, and serial killers don't get maternity, so I chose physio. As I get so's, I begin to move about a bit with a frame, and so I start to explore. I leave my room, I leave my corridor, I leave my ward, I make it all the way to the lift, and this place is massive. It's got its own shops. Soon, I get good at moving about with a frame. So then physio sadist Jill comes, takes him away, and presents me with a pair of crutches. I have to learn to walk again, and anytime anyone washes a floor, which in a hospital is quite a lot, the crutches, they spin out from under me, and they dump me on my arse. And my arse, it can cope with that, it really can, but my pinned together leg, that can't. So I sulk a while. I sit in bed. Physio sadist Jill says, ooh, Graham, stay put, it makes it so much easier for me to find you when I've got some agony to inflict on you. Soon I get back on my sticks, treating those little yellow wet floor signs with the respect I now understand they deserve. I begin to pick my way about the place. Altogether, 12 floors, right? Most of them with names I can't pronounce, let alone all in my head. A&E, another one from Sky Living. Radiology, that's where they take me to see how many bits my leg is in. ICU is intensive care. HDU is high dependency, so like ICU light. And then floor 11, obstetrics and gynecology. Won't lie, remains a mystery for a few years to come. Yeah, then I sneak down into the basement. Right, that's the floors where patients aren't allowed. I say sneak. No one's sneaking on crutches, obviously, but because it takes me so much bloody effort to get anywhere, right? Everyone kind of just assumes I've got a good reason for being there. So, apart from holding the odd door open here, they just sort of leave me be. So, I creep along all the low-lit corridors and I find kitchens, storerooms, maintenance depots, generator bays. I wobble and stagger throughout this whole place, and I have never seen anything like it. Doctors, nurses, porters, healthcare technicians, nutrition specialists, just all bustling about their business, and all the things they do coming together, and for one reason: to stop us hurting. Like this place, these people, they take us in and they just put us right. Whoever we are, even the scum that straight off the road like me who should be dead. So they fix me. They fix me so that I'm less broken than I was before those cunts ran me down. The last time I saw Jill, I went up to her and said, I'm gonna miss you, you evil bitch. And she looked at me and she said, I'll have forgotten about you before the doors swing shut behind me. She stepped out the doors, they swing shut behind her, and she was just on the fixing the next one. And then I went back to school. They couldn't believe it. No, nor could I really. I went up to Mr. Harris and I said, Mr. Harris, I'm gonna need your help. And he says, well, how exactly do you think I can help you, Davey? And I said, Mr. Harris, I want to become a doctor, what have I got to do for that? And he smiled. And he was looking for some sort of hint in my face that would give him permission to turn that smile into a laugh, but he didn't find it. You are kidding me, aren't you, son? No, Mr. Harris. I want to become a doctor so I can put people right. So we sit down at his computer and we look it up. It says, becoming a doctor is not an easy option, but it takes years of hard work and study. But, as you learn the skills you'll need, you'll also learn a lot about yourself. I said, okay, cool, great. What's that in terms of exams exactly? So we look it up on the site. And he says, Davey, usually we wouldn't put you in for these exams with your grades, but if you're serious, I'd be willing to make an exception. And I say, please do that. Please do that, Mr. Harris, because I am serious. And he says, Davey, you'd have to go back a year and start again. And I say, okay, cool, no problem. That's what I want, to start again. And he looks at me and he says, you know what, Davey? I always had a feeling about you. That you'd turn it around, just in spite of everything. So in September, I I start again. And it's hard, right? It's really hard. All this, the chemistry, the physics, the biology. It's like, you know, you get a new game, right? You don't know the controls, so you just sort of press shit randomly to see what happens. Just like that. Write stuff down, I ain't got a clue what I'm even trying to say. Get to the end of term, Mr. Harris, he comes up to me and he says, you know what, Davey? You know what I think's really amazing? I thought you'd stick at this maybe a week, 2 weeks tops, and then just sort of disappear. But you've never given up. Never once, and I really think that's something you ought to be proud of. And I say, thank you, Mr. Harris, I do my best. And he says, I know you do, Davey. But what we need to look at now is what you're achieving. And I think even trying as hard as you can, there's really no chance you're going to get these grades. And I know we always say, never give up, but just sometimes, giving up is the right thing to do. You know, I'm at a bit of a loss then. I lose. It's a few years. A few years go by as you'd have expected if you'd seen me at, I don't know, 15 stealing some stupid 7-year-old's bike, or at 12 ending some decent teacher's career. But you know, the thing is, with life, it just sort of goes on. So I get to a point where I clean up a bit. You know, a mate of mine, he's got a spare room. He says, it's your last chance, Dave, don't fuck it up. So I go to the library and I'm looking up for jobs on a computer, and I'm sort of scrolling through, looking at it. Half of it is, I don't even know what it is. And then there is a job at the hospital. They need a porter. Right, I know it's only pushing people around in trolleys and wheelchairs all day, but you don't need any qualifications for it. I ain't got any qualifications, so actually I couldn't be fit for the position. And then when I go in, the lady asks, why are you so passionate about becoming a porter? I've got a lot to say. I mean, I can tell by the way she sort of puts down a pen and looks up from a paper that not a lot of people come in and tell her why they're so passionate about becoming a porter. So I explain, I say, I tell her about my time at the hospital, and I tell her why I'd like to be a part of it all, and she looks at me and she says, well, if you'll pardon my French, that's bloody brilliant. So then I'm porter, right? I come into this place, I've got a uniform, I've got duties, I've got hours, I get paid. Everyone just acts like this is sort of completely normal. You know, I do all right. I do all right, because all the other porters, they just sort of act like they hate their jobs. I love my job. But then, you know, I get into a bit of trouble because I'm always chatting and I always like to make sure the patients have got fresh water to drink. And you know, one of the sisters, she pulls me aside and she says, Davey, it's all very well making nice with the patients, but if they're not getting to where they need to be on time, that's money wasted, time wasted, and that's good for no one. Davey, I think in giving you this job, we might have made a mistake. And I'm like, no, please, I promise I'll just chat less. I'll chat less. And she says, no, Davey, you got me wrong. Talking to the patients, if that's something you like to do, there's a job as a healthcare assistant going. It's, you know, helping them get dressed, taking them to the toilet, helping feed them, stuff like that. And on her say-so, I get it. Right, so now I'm properly part of the team. Yeah, I'm wiping arses, but I'm also taking pulses, monitoring respiration. You know what? Fuck it, arses need wiping. We'd all have to have our arses wiped if we couldn't do it ourselves, no? And yeah, I work my way up. I get a few certificates that mean they can give me more responsibility, more duty. And you know, one Tuesday morning, we're talking about me going into part-time to study for a diploma and then register as a proper nurse. And then they wheeled in this stinking clutch of limbs. I knew him straight off, but I hadn't seen him in years. It was my dad.
I'm looking down at this edge of a blade pressed into the hidden flab around his gut. And his waxy skin. All the hair of his belly button like 1,000 trampled daddy long legs. It's foul. It's perfect. Someone loved that belly once. Someone loved all of it. What do you do with kids? Even if they're shitting all over you. And that love is everything, and then you just fucking wander away from it.
He crumbles to the floor. And for a while, I just lie there because I think he's still very much in charge of the situation, but he's not. Of course he's not. He's just fucking crying. And as I get myself together, I realise he's done a really shit job of tying me up. And I realise I can use the fingers of my right hand to grab the cord and pull my left wrist out. So I do. And I'm just lying there, he's still fucking crying, and inches from my hand is a spanner by my side. And I played thousands of hours of the most violent video games there are, but I've never actually hit anyone in real life, as if there's no fucking relation between things that are real and things that are pretend, but here I am. This man has broken into my flat, attacked me, would have killed me but for his basic being a pussy, and inches from my hand, a weapon he has brought into the situation. If only I didn't have to pick it up, but do I? Actually, do I? It turns out, yes. Yes, I do. And his expression turns and looks up at me, confused, and then turning to rage at the cold, hard unfairness of events, and I have never actually hit anyone, but I reckon anyone would say that I'm allowed to hit this fucker, and I bring the spanner down on his head, and a second time, and a third, and I just stand and roar over him like this, and then I hit him once more in the guts, because it feels fucking amazing!
Ruin that foul, perfect belly. Because once you ruin something, then it's ruined, and you never get to go back to when it's not.
I go for a piss! I go for a piss on my gleaming, backlit marble bathroom with power shower and plunge bath and Wi-Fi speakers that pump sound from my music provider and 4K TV, and I stand there and I do a great big piss out of my semi-erect cock while the man who tried to kill me lies bleeding on the lounge floor. And then I call the police. And I tell them that I've just physically overpowered an intruder, and they might want to come and clean up the mess.
In court, they ask me, do I have anything to say? So, I say, though I failed my son, and I failed to pay Paul Thompson back for what he's done, this has to stop. And I hope whenever a son or a daughter suffers because of some piece of sickness dressed up as art, there'll be a mum or a dad who's mad with grief who goes out and finds the scum responsible and pays them back with their own. I hope from this day forward every filmmaker or game designer or so-called artist has to worry that whatever horror they put out into the world might be played out of their own bodies. Because powerful people get rich pumping filth into our lives. It's down to ordinary folk to do whatever it takes to protect our children. And then I look down and I see the reporters and the bloggers and the correspondents all writing down my words put out onto the internet, and algorithms and social media and websites will spew them over and over and never let them be forgotten. And it'll only take one person, one mum or dad mad with grief to go out and do what I couldn't, right? Go out and get revenge. One person, and we have a movement. The judge calmly listens, takes a sip of sparkling water, and rules that I should be secured in a secure hospital. My own protection and the protection of others until I no longer represent the interests of the public.
Walking out of court, I text my dad, telling the verdict. Dad never takes back. I announce that due to having the trauma of nearly having my guts cut open, I no longer feel safe in my own country, and I decide with great regret to move our whole operation to the States, where the tax situation has become highly advantageous.
Still free sugars, Dad. Dad, still free sugars in your tea?
Still.
Yeah?
It never was.
That's what I remember you saying.
You remember that dog? What were you called her?
Amazing.
Maisie. Yeah. You take good care of her.
Did my best.
Of course you did. You spoil her.
What's spoiling the dog?
Or you let her sleep in your bed.
Yeah.
Her legs in every direction while you're backed into a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spoiled it. Might as well. They aren't with you, Mom.
There'd been a fire in his flat. Fallen asleep with a fag hanging out of his mouth. They brought him in for smoke inhalation.
Can you get some fags, son?
That's the last thing you need.
Is he gonna be a cunt? So what am I doing?
What have they said?
All sorts. You don't trust
Well,
me.
you know you breathed in smoke.
Well, that'll happen if you're in a fire.
And that gave you problems breathing. But they're saying that was aggravating what they call an underlying condition. Dad, do you ever get out of breath if you, I don't know, run for a bus or something?
I haven't been through a bus since the
Or
70s.
if you walk up the stairs?
I live in a ground floor bed.
Have they spoken to you about emphysema?
The word might have been mentioned.
Dad, this is serious. Man, these your lungs are collapsing.
So how long?
What do you mean?
Well, how long's gone better?
What have they
I was
said?
talking like weeks, months.
What have they said?
I'm asking you.
I don't even notice it says it's a question of managing your condition. Do you know what that means? Do you? Dad,
Help us up, son. I doubt I'm allowed that fag in here. It's a bit of a fucking relief.
oh yeah, relief. How'd that be?
I just won't want to go, like, demented, you know. I don't know. Feeling myself slipping away.
And after a year or two, my father to the States, to be close to me. That's quite a distressing process. I explain it to him as carefully as I can, but his Alzheimer's is fairly advanced at this stage, so he doesn't know what's happening to him or why. He fights the orderlies trying to get him on the plane. They have to restrain him, secure him to his seat, sedate for the journey. It's the bewilderment, I think, that's worse. Maybe that's worse than the terror. At the States, my dad gets the best treatment my money can buy. The clinic treating him has a dementia research fund. I donate large sums, not in the hope of saving my dad, of course, but in the hope that others don't have to suffer, as he undoubtedly does. Dad stops eating. The clinic warned me that without nutrition, he won't last long. I do some reading, and I learn it's possible to artificially fit a tube into the stomach. The main consultant, he's not keen. He says, is that really in your dad's best interests? Might it not be better to let nature take its course? And I say, I want my dad with me. I want my dad with me, and I don't care what it takes. So if you're not comfortable taking my research grants, I'll find another clinic that is. They fit the tube. Nature does not take its course because I do not permit it.
When the hospital kick you out, you can stay at mine.
Isn't that kind of you? A lot of knows.
And where are you going to go? You need to look after yourself.
So people keep telling me I'll be fine.
No, you're bloody not.
Look, I can hardly bend you over money, but I am still your father, so I'll let's let that chat, please.
The day's due to be discharged. I make sure I'm on shift. I help him pack. I take him down to the reception. I push him up to the front door. It opens. We're cold, it isn't a chill, it's a full fist in the face.
See you then, son.
I haul him up. I hand him his crutches. There's a covered path all the way down to the bus stop. He don't make it halfway. He reaches out his hand for the back of a bench and just lowers himself to the ground. I step up to the door, it opens in front of me. And the cold scorches my chest. Christ knows what it's doing to his. I stand beside him. Do you need a hand, Dad? Doesn't look up. You're going to miss the bus. Don't look up. Get a car, shall I, Dad? Don't look up. But his head just sagged. Surrendered.
I sit with Dad. An hour? No sign he knows him there. I pull his head up and he rasps. I take his shriveled, hand in mine and I squeeze it as hard as I can. I crush his wasted fingers in my fist and he squeezes back and I have to fight to pull myself free and his fingers like wires cut into me. Pries open his eyelids. Up here in. There's no rage or fight or spark, but he's there. Trapped in there. Alone. In the dark.
I remember when I first moved into my flat, being really pissed off that I only had one shitty single bed. You know, it turned out to be a blessing. I moved the sofa from the living room into my bedroom. Then I moved the shitty single from my bedroom into the kitchen come living room, and I put Dad in there. You know, so I could chat to him, he had the telly, and talk to him while I was making dinner and stuff. Yeah, I got him oxygen tanks, I made sure he took all his inhalers, and I looked after him 7 weeks until he died. I kept thinking there'd be some big conversation, you know, like when he had a drink. But you know, he was out of breath a lot, it's hard for him to talk. But leaving came easy enough, little fucker, it never changed. I've been home an hour, and yeah, I just given him a bed bath, so he was all nice and spruced up. And I was making dinner, macaroni and cheese. I didn't quite stretch to the sauce, just boiled a load of pasta, buried it in shale, cooked it under the grill. But, you know, Ethan wasn't eating much by then, but when I had something, he liked a little taste. I was rinsing a plate, and then I just turned and I noticed out the corner of my eye that he wasn't moving. So I went over to him and felt for a pulse. Nothing. You know, the creases under his eyes, the stubble on his cheeks, his burst veins on his nose, all there as they ever were, but I was alone. Again.
At the secure facility where I'm held, the chaplain says, "You've got years ahead of you in this place. People turn to drink, to drugs to get them through, and let me tell you, those things might seem to help, but they only make it worse." And I say to him, "Look, no, I'll not be touching any of that, pal." And he goes, "Well, I'm glad to hear that. But there's other things people depend upon too. There's blame. There's blaming other people for what we have ourselves done. Isn't that what you're doing, Owen? Blaming the man who made this game instead of facing up to your own guilt." And I say to him, "Look, pal, I know how a priest gets this sort of duty just because there's nowhere else that'll take him, so you can fuck yourself, you kitty fiddling bastard!" And what keeps me going? Memories. You know, like memories of my son. Like bouncing him on the bed. He loved that. So me bouncing up and down the house all the time. Him crying out, "Da, da, da," because he hadn't learned to say dad properly yet. And I was gone before we learned.
When my dad left, he was warm, he was clean, he had company, and his food was on the way in. I did that for him.
That's the thing. Memories, they run out. Because I was on with them for what, 18 months. I play and I replay them, and in the end they wear me.
I did more for that bastard than he ever did for me. Because I'm 10 times the man he ever was.
Well, Dad's gone. It's we've got a lot of good people in our company. I find that my job becomes saying yes or no to ideas rather than coming up with them myself. It turns out I can get that done pretty quickly, you know. Yes, no, no, yes, that's me done for the day. Two of the design team fall in love, get up a duff, look into the legalities and realise the cheapest thing is to get married. At the wedding she pats her belly and says, you know what you need? I do not. You need something that's more than you are. Something that overwhelms you. So I adopt. 10-year-old boy. And he overwhelms me. His name's Ethan. First time we meet, I say, bit of a hawk, aren't you? He says nothing, he's got no clue. And I get through the tests, the legalities, the interviews, and they tell me I can become Ethan's forever family. I bring him into the house, I mean, I'm on high alert every single second. I mean, I'm so exhausted. I mean, he's going off to school, or I'm falling asleep in the middle of the day, and all the books say, you know, give it time, don't have high expectations, and I respect expert advice, of course, but I mean, he's hugging me. He's calling me daddy from day one, and I'm not, you know, I'm not. He's just saying it. Pure survival instinct means nothing, and I feel nothing except panic and worry. And then, after maybe 6 months, it's like all that anxiety crystallizes into something else, and I can just begin to see how that something else could become. And then one day, my driver phones, says he's at school, and Ethan's gone. The school say he was supposed to go home with his friend. He had a note. I tried to message him, doesn't respond, tries to call him, try to find my iPhone, but he's switched off. And I thought I knew what worry was, but I did not. I had no clue. I learned what worry was that night. Over 3 hours until the phone goes. It's the doorman, downstairs. Ethan's just walked in, whistling, apparently. On the elevator, on his way up, heads straight in, heads straight to the fridge. I mean, I can't even speak. And he says, what? Well, I just walked home with my friend, there's nothing. And I said, but I have a driver, your friend can come in the car. And he said, Daddy, I want to walk. And I say, mate, the streets aren't safe. And he laughs. I'm going out of my mind, and he's laughing. And he says, Daddy, everyone walks the streets. Everyone. So I have to talk for a long time, and eventually I get through, and he promises, hugs me, tells me he loves me. Next week he does it again. And again. And one Friday evening, doesn't come home at all. Messages me, saying he's staying with some old friends, with his cousins, apparently. But his phone's off, and I have my driver, my PA, me, everyone looking, and I think maybe I should call the police, but then a kid that looks like Ethan does, and he runs, and they see the phone in his hand, decide it's not a phone. Every siren, my heart stops. I feel sick, I sweat through 3 shirts, I shout at anyone who comes near me that if anything should happen to him, and then on Monday he walks in like there's nothing. And I say, it's a bad neighbourhood, it's not safe. And he says, it's my neighbourhood, Daddy. It's home. And I say, okay then. Okay. Then when he goes back to school, I have my PA phone the adoption agency, and I say, whatever this costs. Whatever. Make it go away.
But I made Davey once. So I make him again. Every night I pull the blanket over me, and I drift down towards sleep, and then there, there he is, gurgling his cot next door. Gurgling next door, work its way into a whimper, into a sob, into a howl, and I lie there, eyes closed, hardly breathing, her next to me, him feet away. And every night, I give him a life. I pass the hours dreaming every detail of it. I'll start with his boyhood, his school days, his facts as far as I know them, and then I have to make him again and again. And every night his life is hard. Every night my Davey turns it all around. In spite of everything. Every night he turns out to be 10 times the man I am. Just as long as I stay in that bed and don't move a muscle.
15. Walking home. Some stupid 7-year-old crashes into me on a stupid 7-year-old bike. Dad jogs up. I grab the handlebars, I'm holding them tight. Sorry about that, mate. Sorry, the birthday girl's a bit wobbly on her new bike. Birthday girl hops off and wraps her arms around Dad's leg. You're alright though, aren't you, mate? Dad's a little bit more than twice my age. Greasy hair, grey tracky bees over black shoes. The daughter's a little bit less than half. You know, that bike might be new, but her top, her jeans, her trainers, they're not new. I say no. I'm not alright. And the dad looks at me and he sees what's in my eyes. And I can tell that the muscle at the base of his arse has gone tight and the muscle at the root of his cock has gone loose. And all he wants to do is turn and run from the vicious little shit that I am, but he can't. He's stuck because of his stupid kid. And I say, you know what might make things alright? I never had a bike as nice as this. How about I take it, go for a little ride? And Dad says, come on mate, please. And the birthday girl's saying, Daddy, I don't want him to take my bike, you know, she's on the edge now. He says, oh, don't worry baby. The man's only joking. He's not going to do it. You know, he looks at me and he's basically begging me. I get called kid, I get called shit all the time, but I never get called man. And him, his hand finds its place on the back of her head, and the smile he forces into his eyes, and the smile that answers it from hers, the smile that says, everything's alright. I never saw a smile like that.
And every night I dream about what the boy might have been if I'd just been there to hold his hand. And it's enough. For me.
Now is that fair? I can't bear it. I can't bear to let that smile be. So I rip the bike from her and I just push off. Speed away into the night. The stars just unreachable above me.